Welcome to History at Home, bringing the museum to you. I'm Sarah Byers, Assistant Curator at the Niagara Falls Museums. Oliver Pernell. Born into slavery on March 20th, 1842, Oliver Pernell was owned by slaver Mose Pernell and labored on his farm near Berlin, Maryland. Oliver is said to have described his treatment there as tolerable, however, he wanted to be free. He did escape in 1855 at the age of 26, leaving behind his parents and 5 siblings. Together with fellow freedom seeker Isaac, they negotiated the Underground Railroad and swam across the Niagara River to reach freedom in Canada. Oliver then made his way to Drummondville, now part of Niagara Falls, where he settled. Oliver married Matilda Sutton, who had escaped to freedom from Kentucky, and shortly after they welcomed a daughter named Marjorie. Matilda had been living on Stanley Avenue on land from a previous marriage to Henry Mason. This is where she and Oliver would live out their days and become prominent landholders, owning land on Stanley Avenue and Pier Lane, as well as other properties in the village. Oliver worked for over 40 years as a farm laborer in Drummondville. Due to the Pernell's success, they were able to give back to their community. The British Methodist Episcopal Church in Niagara Falls was founded in 1814 by Black residents of Drummondville. The congregation met in members' homes until the church was built in 1834. Situated on a lot close to the falls, the building was so damp and so cold it was referred to as the North Pole. During this period, there were many refugee slaves living in Drummondville along Pier, Stanley, Ross, Gray, and Robinson Street and Allendale Avenue. The BME Church was active in supporting the Underground Railroad and offered a refuge from the racism of many white-dominated churches. In the 1870s, a new location on Pier Street was donated to the church by Oliver and Matilda Pernell. A National Historic Site of Canada as of the year 2000, the church is still an active place of worship. A photograph of Oliver, perhaps the only one that exists, was treasured by Margaret Cadam, who appears at his side dressed similarly in overalls. She thought of Oliver as a friend, being ever present as a farm laborer at her family's farm on Culp Street. Margaret remembered him being soft-spoken and wonderfully kind, and claimed that he would not re-enter the United States since his escape. The photograph was taken by photographer John England at his studio on Main Street near the Cadams' home, and is said to have happened through a chance meeting. Oliver passed away at his home in 1906. He rests at Drummond Cemetery. Cemetery caretaker William Dalton wrote in his journal on September 17th. Oliver Pernell lived next to Miss Plato's house. Died at his house at same 15th of lockjaw by cutting his finger bad. Caused paralysis. He was about 80 years old. He worked for John Thompson 40 years ago, 15 before that, and J.G. Cadam a long time, and was well respected and well up to a few days before his death. He was taken to BME Church and a sermon preached by Elder Drake and the pastor of the church. He had quite a little property at the time of his death, 1 daughter and 1 wife left behind. He was buried in Mrs. Pernell's lot. Warm day, fine flowers, and a nice funeral attended. The Pernell family home stood for many years at 6075 Stanley Avenue, midway between Pier Lane and Robinson Street, with family members living there into the 1960s. Until its demolition in 2004, the building was one of the only remaining houses in Niagara Falls once owned by a former slave. Thank you for joining today's History at Home. I'm Sarah Byers.